The big animation studios have been releasing some major flops lately, which has raised concerns about a potential pattern within the industry. Some online critics are speculating that this might be a sign of a lack of care during the creative process within the animation genre. All this talk about failed films has me reminiscing about another bizarre, long-forgotten animated film from my childhood, 20th Century Fox's 2008 misfire, Space Chimps. When I think of successful animated films aimed at children by the studio, I'm reminded of stuff like Ice Age and Rio. Not Space Chimps, unfortunately. Curiously, my search for video essays about the film on YouTube yielded few results, suggesting that Space Chimps has largely been written off, whether that's due to its quality or its obscurity. So, that's where I come in. I haven't seen the film in a long time, which has piqued my curiosity about its potential depths of disappointment. Is it really that forgettable, or does it deserve more credit in retrospect? Let's find out. Without further ado, on with the review.
Polos is life, 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 sleep all night and then Polos is life.
The film kicks off with a brief sequence about chimps going into space. This literally sets the stage for our introduction to the film's protagonist.
And tonight, his brave legacy lives on.
Introducing Ham the Third!
NASA's habit of sending animals to space before humans is rooted in truth. In the early 1960s, Ham, a chimpanzee, became the first great ape in space, paving the way for human exploration. The same can't be said for Ham's grandson, Ham the Third, who is only a simian cannonball, rather than a human one. Pretty dangerous stunt, I'd say, and we get a glimpse of Ham's want to follow in his grandfather's footsteps here. Ham is voiced by Andy Samberg, by the way, of SNL and The Lonely Island fame. To make a long story short, Ham the Third's landing attempt goes awry, and he crash lands in a drum kit. Meanwhile, a life-searching probe from NASA called Infinity is sucked through a wormhole, and we see where it's about to land. This is the planet Malgor, and we see some alien children chasing a butterfly-like creature called a fluttery. Very imaginative naming. Unfortunately for the adorable group, the fluttery lands on Zartog's house, and he's the antagonist of the film, voiced by Jeff Daniels. You can tell he's evil from his grumpiness, which stands out especially in contrast to the cheerful children. He's the kind of crackpot who probably has Bond villain fantasies. You know, the kind of guy who'd want to be Dr. No or something. Yeah, that's Zartog. Meet Fresnar, a substance that has a similar eerie effect on living things as carbonite in Star Wars. Not very nice, this guy. With that being said, Infinity, or the Sky Beast according to the Malgorians, just so happens to land on Zartog's house.
Rudlar.
I'd say this is ironic and karmic justice, but it's surprisingly ineffective, despite the children's cheering. Infinity, well, probes Zartog off-screen.
Let's not go there.
And after it hypes up Earth to him, Zartog accidentally gains manual control of the probe.
A new day has come, and that day is Zartog!
This is gonna go just great for everyone else on Malgor, I'm sure. Back on Earth, the scientists responsible for monitoring Infinity grow anxious at the prospect of it finding a planet capable of sustaining life, and this movie's obligatory senator wants them to send out some astronauts to regain contact with the probe. As the mission is too risky for humans,
it could transmogrify the DNA, causing blindness.
Heart failure.
Most likely, death.
the government decides to reboot the Simian astronaut program, and I have a bone to pick with this. I understand the retro vibe that this movie's going for, but shouldn't we be concerned about ethics in this day and age? Well, this Senate is getting impeached. The initial trio of chimp candidates are Titan, voiced by Patrick Warburton, aka Joe Swanson, Luna, voiced by Cheryl Hines, and Comet, voiced by Zach Sharder. Alas, the senator isn't too impressed with this lineup.
Technically, there's no such thing as nerds in the simian world.
I know a nerd when I see one.
Inspired by the mural of the original Ham, the senator demands that they send his grandson on the space mission, something that the ape is very reluctant to do. The government, however, have other ideas. So, the chimps embark on their training, with Ham taking the G-Force machine in stride. Given his background as a cannonball, it's no surprise. They break into an Axel F reference, which has me wondering why kids' movies from this era rely on it for gags. Is it just 'cause it's catchy or what? Intent on escaping, Ham concocts a plan to make a break during a jetpack demo that weekend.
To the circus and beyond!
Yeah, this doesn't go so well. Like, really, really bad. And Ham's jetpack runs out of fuel to boot. What's more bizarre is that despite this mishap, the team still decides to send the chimps on the actual flight. I'm struggling to understand this part of the movie. Clearly, Ham is a liability at the very least, making it puzzling that they don't swap him out for Comet, who's stuck on Earth with Ham the First's pal, Houston, due to Ham's arrival. Concurrently, Zartog proclaims himself Lord of Malgor, and sets about building a dam to redirect the erupting volcano's Fresnel flow on Triple Sunday, a day where Malgor's 3 suns will align. This eruption will bury the village, secure Zartog's new lair, and leave the aliens homeless and dependent on their new ruler. As I said, it's something straight out of a Bond villain's playbook, minus the charm and sophistication, of course. Moving on, the humour in this film really isn't my cup of tea, but I'll get into that more later. One thing that did catch my attention, however, was a silly bit of dialogue before the chimps enter the wormhole.
Sorry, while on the mission, I can only hear real astronauts.
Then who did you say sorry to?
Someone else.
And why'd you just say someone else?
Space Chimps is also full of references, and I'm a fan of the visual reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey here as they travel through the wormhole, even if it is brief. It's a nice touch, as our simian heroes then come hurtling down onto Malgor's surface, much like the Infinity Probe. Without knowing how to land, and the other 2 chimps having been knocked out by the G-Force, Ham's solution is to deploy some airbags, which, might I add, results in a rather messy crash. This chaotic landing sequence causes the signal between the ship and Earth to be lost, until the automatic 24-hour system restart kicks in and the ship flies back home. How convenient. Stranded on a hostile planet without a safety net from Earth or a way back home. One of Zartog's generals spots the ship and informs Zartog, who sends out his militia to attack the new threat to his ego, and his already fragile sense of self-importance. Luna goes to pick up a flower, but Ham warns her with an anecdote about Piddle, a clown with a creepy flower-themed jack-in-the-box that really harbours a snake. When Luna touches it, the flowers really do turn into a bunch of snake-like creatures, which remind me of the sandworms from Dune or Beetlejuice. But it turns out that the pair have bigger things to worry about when they are ambushed by Zartog's minions, who steal the ship, with Titan still on board. I'm sure he'll be fine. Right, guys? Anyway, Luna and Ham are then chased into Malgor's jungle biome, which is probably one of the most interesting environments presented by this film. They share a cute moment when Ham encourages Luna to release her inner chimp, and teaches her to swing across living vines to escape their pursuers. This is a nice change, since the other members of the crew have just been dunking on the fact that Ham is a circus chimp up until this point. Character growth, everyone, finally! This continues as the chimps soon run out of jungle and swing their way over a cliffside, but thankfully there are some soft mushrooms on the ground below. Ham quickly shows Luna how to land properly, and she does, but Ham's already demonstrated some questionable landing skills. Who could have seen that coming? Ugh, cheesy alert. Thinking Ham's dead, Luna waxes poetic about how he wasn't really that bad. I mean, we saw him survive those other crashes earlier, so I'm not sure who would fall for this. In the meantime, Titan awakens from his G-Force-induced nap, and vows to help Zartog crack the probe's secrets to avoid being Fresnard and reunite with his crew. I wonder how exactly the aliens and apes communicate. Is there some kind of TARDIS-esque language converter? It's a common issue within sci-fi, but it's a pet peeve of mine. Battlefield Earth may not be the best film out there, but at least it attempted to address the issue. As they scramble to return to the ship before it takes off, Luna and Ham stumble upon a diminutive alien named Kilowalla Wazasehuha, but Ham just calls her Kilowatt. The rest of her people have been imprisoned by Zartog, but she agrees to help the chimps when she learns that they are friendly. Kilowatt has a very large head that glows when she's scared, which is admittedly pretty endearing. Her overall design vaguely reminds me of the aliens from Cocoon, but it's distinct enough to assume it's just a coincidence rather than a deliberate nod. The trio set off to find the ship, and we get another musical gag when a pile of musical gumdrop-like beings called globhoppers imitate Ham, along with his dancing. I think I'm just in the wrong demographic for bits like this. Thankfully, this segment is short-lived, as they find themselves journeying through the cave of the flesh-devouring beast, the only way to Zartog's lair according to Kilowatt, because sometimes these movies need a little help from plot contrivance. The beast has a sort of anglerfish plus snot design, and Kilowatt's glowing head isn't helping their chances for escape. Ham manages to calm her down, and she sacrifices herself when the beast blocks the exit. While a noble deed, it doesn't exactly pull on my heartstrings. She's only been on screen for 10 minutes. I think we're supposed to feel sad because she's a cute character. As the chimps exit the cave, they find themselves on the dark cloud of Id, where Ham laments his failure to live up to his grandfather's legacy, and Luna continuously asks him how that makes him feel. I see what you're trying to do here, movie, you're not slick.
I think you've had a breakthrough. I'm afraid your time is up.
The chimps arrive just in time to witness the beginning of Zartog's Triple Sunday celebration, where he threatens to dunk his subjects in the Fresnar if they don't dance. They steal a couple of those flying stingray aliens from earlier, and rescue Titan along with the ship, after witnessing Zartog's brutal treatment of his fellow Malgorians. The chimps simply abandon ship to stop the tyrannical alien, leading the scientists on Earth to believe that the chimps didn't make it. The Senator cancels the space program and proposes Comet and Houston for animal testing, but they're too smart for that, they'll never be lab rats. Zartog captures Ham, Titan, and Luna, but Titan promises he'll reveal the probe's key to the secrets of the universe if he lets them go. In reality, the sequence is the eject button code, and Zartog, being an idiot, falls for it, ending up in the Fresnar. Just then, Kilowatt arrives.
Don't make me go there.
Yeesh. Comet has finally managed to get the signal on the chimp's secret walkie-talkies to work bidirectionally, and explains that they can repurpose the probe into a new ship. To do so, they'll need to harness the energy of the volcano's impending eruption as thrust. The aliens, being grateful, lend a helping hand, and the chimps strap Zartog to the front of their ship. Ham manages to land relatively safely, but not before Zartog and Luna go flying. Literally. Luna takes a tumble while trying to fix one of the wings. Yawn, yawn, we know she's not dead. Seriously though, how is it that characters can take fall damage so well in this movie? What's the secret to their fall-proofing? Is this ever going to be explained? Astonished by the chimp's achievements, the Senator is easily swayed by the nerdy scientist's demands in front of the press, and the chimps are promised another mission, to confirm that there's life in outer space, a tall order. But I guess they've proved they're up for the challenge. Let's get into the crux of this film. Is Space Chimps really that bad? One thing that stands out is the film's attempt to impart valuable lessons to kids, which, while admirable, feels a bit half-baked in retrospect. The main chimp, Ham, really struggles with living up to his grandfather's legacy, especially as the other chimps and humans around him expect him to do so, and when he doesn't, they just mock him. I feel like Ham's bad attitude is merely a reaction to this. Okay, you're not going to help me with my feelings of inadequacy, I'll just do exactly the opposite of what you want me to do. It's a believable response given the pressure that he's under. Ultimately, Ham's arc culminates in him appreciating what he's good at, as those things did help him on the mission where Luna and Titan's theoretical knowledge failed them. Similarly, other characters have their own growth arcs. Luna learns to relax and not be so uptight, while Titan discovers the importance of not jumping to conclusions based on one's expectations of someone. Both chimps have to accept that Ham was right about them being guinea pigs for future man-piloted missions.
Actually, the guinea pigs are on the Mars mission.
Houston, meanwhile, comes to realize he's inadvertently caused Ham a lot of stress, and they manage to resolve this by the film's conclusion. The humour of this film is definitely not its strong suit a lot of the time. A lot of the jokes are kinda lowbrow and childish. I get that the target audience is kids, but that doesn't mean that you have to dumb things down. On the other hand, there are a lot of dirty jokes thrown in at the same time.
It's not the size of the beast, it's what you do with it that matters, my lord.
I did like some of the simpler moments, like how the humans interpret the chimp's speech as chattering, but this seems to only have been used during the first half of the film. The wittier dialogue, however, does make for some charming moments.
Why wasn't I born a rabbit or a squirrel or an art history major? Nobody expects great things from them.
The animation in Space Chimps is a mixed bag, and I don't think that it's doing the film any favours. Malgore's design is disappointing, as I get the impression that it's supposed to look vibrant and colourful, but its bland, uninspired aesthetic encompasses the entire film. The shapes and movements of fluids like Fresnar can look strange and rather ugly at points. This is a shame, as the chimps do look cute. None of the characters have that uncanny valley quality, and at points the chimps' movements look notably fluid. The film's critical consensus section on Rotten Tomatoes reads, "Space Chimps' cheap animation and overabundance of monkey puns feels especially dated in a post-Wall-E world." Somehow, Space Chimps got a video game adaptation, along with a sequel in 2010, titled Space Chimps: Zartog Strikes Back. I'm sure that title has nothing to do with losing the villain while crashing back down to Earth. In conclusion, Space Chimps is a rather mediocre film that fails to leave a lasting impression. While it has some entertaining moments and a likeable cast of characters, it ultimately feels forgettable and underdeveloped. The story is predictable and the jokes often miss the mark, making it feel like a missed opportunity for a story that could have been better expanded on. I think that it's pretty harmless all in all, but if you're looking for a truly out-of-this-world viewing experience, you may want to explore other options. However, if you're looking for something to keep you and your family occupied, Space Chimps might be the film for you. Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.
The blue and green ones are my favorite kind, but I'll eat the colored ones from time to time, 'cause Polos is life, 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 Polos is life. Sleep all night.